sectors in United States and Sweden. I'm passionate about using my experience to help businesses to understand and connect with their customers. In my spare time, I'm an open source enthusiast and enjoy to camping and bonsai. I specialize in consumer behavior, data-driven marketing, Matomo and Piwik. These are some of the customers I've been working with. Ericsson, Assa Abloy, the Public Health Agency in Sweden, Hansa Biopharma, the Swedish Public Employment Service, and the Swedish Tax Agency, some of them. And on top of it, I'm a father and grandfather. I do have a dog, and I'm an old boy scout, so that's the reason why I love camping and free life. I've been working in Nordic Morning during the last years, and as you can see, we are part of a great family. We have companies specializing in data-driven marketing, branding, communication strategy, digital communication, design, business intelligence, business management, and so on. And we have customers across the world, such as Janssen, L'Oreal, Department of Defense in Sweden, the post office in Finland, among many others. So please let us know where are you attending from, what's your role, and it's important for me to know your level of experience with Matomo, so I can address my answers to simpler levels of experience, and drop off your questions. So this is the agenda. I'm going to talk about the importance of data-driven marketing, key features of Matomo Analytics, customer journey, tracking events, campaign performance evaluation, some metrics, setting up key metrics, interpreting the data, visualize the data using dashboards and reports, some useful segments, alerts, strategic email alerts, overcoming challenges and pitfalls. This presentation is sharing. I'm sharing some of my experiences and recommendations. So I hope it will be useful for you. And then we have time for questions. In God we trust, all other bring data. I love this quote because this is probably the reason why we are attending to these sessions. We love data. We are here to do it. So that's the importance of the data-driven marketing. The global amount of data created, captured, copied, consumed globally is almost impossible to forecast. Some talk about 100 zettabytes, and just to put you in context, 1 zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabytes. So just imagine. Thankfully, we have Matomo to help us to understand and to translate into insights for our customers. About this session, well, the purpose of this presentation is to provide marketers with practical information on how to get the most out of Matomo Analytics. I will not focus on the basic features of Matomo Analytics, but on those that are particularly useful for marketing activities. The importance of data-driven marketing. I try to gather some information in the internet and some literature. And I found interesting data regarding this. Increasing efficiency, data-driven decisions are 23 times more likely to outperform competitors in terms of customer acquisition. Personalization impact, 80% of the customers are likely to make a purchase when brands offer personalized experiences. Data growth, by 2025, it's estimated that 463 exabytes of data will be created each day globally and we need tools to analyze it. The return of investment, Marketers who use data-driven strategies are 6 times more likely to achieve a higher return of investment. And regarding customer retention, increasing customer retention only with 5% will increase the profits by 25 to 95%. Data analytics plays a crucial role in understanding customer behavior for retention. Let's talk about key features of Matomo Analytics, but not before we read this from Mr. Peter Drucker. What gets measured gets managed. So Matomo is shipped with a bunch of really useful tools, but you need to understand when to use them. I try to skis this customer journey from some of our customers. This is a general customer journey. Obviously, it varies depending on the websites. Is an e-commerce or is a portfolio, you name it. But this is in a general normal customer journey. When you have we have 5 stages: awareness, consideration, conversion, retention, and advocacy. The green labels are Matomo tools. And so during the awareness process, you can keep an eye on unique visitors, impressions, traffic source, time on page. During the consideration phase, it's important to keep an eye to bounce rates, time on page, page per visits, and check this out. This is how to evaluate your leads, lead quality score. Then you come to the next step, which is conversion. And there is important to keep an eye on referrals, revenue, conversion rates, goal completion, and shopping cart abandonment rates. Then you come to the retention. These red labels are extracted or can be analyzed by aggregated data. So that's important to have in mind. But the Matomo can show you the repeated visits. And regarding advocacy, you can implement the social shares. And by aggregated data, you can get the promoter scores and customer reviews. When you come to campaign performance evaluation, there is something really important to keep in mind, that Matomo understands without problem all the UTM parameters from Google. So often, many of our customers works with other agencies. So I recommend to use UTM parameters, which is a platform independent. Now it's been implemented in other tools, so I recommend it. But you get some problems, especially with new when you are using some other tools and you are advertising on internet. For example, the GCLID. This is an example that I tried to replicate on my test environment, showing the data that is being collected by Matomo. So as you can see, we are using the UTM parameters from Google, and the campaign is being well registered. This is the correct way. If you are using auto tagging, it will add the GCLID hash after the URL. But keep an eye on this. The auto tagging appends a question mark before the GCLID, which returns in a problem. And as you can see, this is the way it's being collected. The GCLID is being part of the campaign name, and so you will get a mess on your reports. So keep an eye on it. This is only with using the UTM tags, the UTM parameters, I mean, and this is only using the GCLID. So remember this, and yeah. One other thing is keep in mind that the hierarchy to get good reports. This is a nice image. And in this way, Matomo will be able to group the reports according to campaign and media sources. And just remember that every letters are case sensitive. So if you want to have good reports, remember the hierarchy. Here is an example of the URL builder, campaign builder, which is inside Matomo. You can build your URLs here. You can find them here during the dashboards and under the acquisition menu. Let's continue. Let's talk about metrics. However beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results, by Winston Churchill. Setting up key metrics, interpreting the data and visualize the data, dashboards and reports. To set up key metrics, just remember that Matomo is a 360 degrees solution. The green labels are mostly from Matomo. And these are the stages to setting up key metrics. You have to meet the customers, to align the metrics and business goals, identify the right metrics, and then develop a tracking plan to define the metrics clearly. Then set the targets on each metric, and then you can implement measuring points and use goals from Matomo, events, and custom dimensions. So this implementation is key for the further reports. To analyze the data, you have obviously the reports, the funnels, the segments, and the acquisition reports. To visualize the data, you have dashboards and widgets baked in Matomo. And then if you need to share this with your team on stakeholders, you have reports that can be sent by email. You can export this data in Google Sheets or Excel sheets. You can as well use the API to generate reports and the report API, which is really powerful. And to review the metrics regularly, you can set up alerts, funnels, forms, media, e-commerce, and GDPR menus. The GDPR tools, which are really important. And then when you get information and you need to refine the optimization of the site and your customer retention and you can use A/B test, heat maps, session recordings, and cohorts, and then you can come back and realign the metrics and the business goals. This is a good example about interpreting the data. Nothing will work if you can't interpret it. So in this example from one of our customers, I create this report. You can see that smartphones are more than twice as double as desktop users. And on mobile devices, who knows? But it's a good question to take with the stakeholders. And then desktops are overrepresented regarding the moment to count revenues. And then you can start to think, okay, it could be millennials versus Generation Z visitors, or is probably mobile first optimization needed, or from a behavioral economics point of view, the higher bounce rate on smartphone creates a big question on the need of mobile optimized content, or probably the user are using the mobiles in different situations, like in the train, and then coming back to their desktops and make the the conversion, so buy the things. So or from it probably regarding customer psychology, you can see a lot of information regarding desktop users that tend to spend more time per visit, and it's because probably it's an indicator for more deliberate information processing or more comfortable browsing experience that's turning into purchases. This is a dashboard and reports. This is a really useful tool in Matomo. You can create your own dashboards. You can copy to other users. We see it here. Only is available for super users, but you can copy a dashboard or share the dashboard with other users inside Matomo. You can add your own segments, your custom reports, your custom dimensions, and integrate it with the marketing campaigns reporting and plugins, and get reports. And something that I really like is that you can get this live preview before, in advance, before you decide to add this widget on your dashboards. Let's take a look to some useful segments. These are from my own baggage. The value of an idea lies in the using of it. So you can get a lot of good ideas, but and segments are a powerful tool to try to translate it into data. This is one of my favorite segments, customers. You can use visit e-commerce status, obviously for e-commerce sites. Visit e-commerce status at the end of the visit is ordered, and the same parameter here, but is abandoned carts. Some information you can gather from this segment is what content is the most helpful at driving your sales. Did your customer watch your products, videos, or purchasing, or are the customers reading your reviews? This is some of the data you can get. This is a good example from one of our customers in Italia. We use the customers filter here, and we found that the Caseforti was the landing page for most of our customers, to 12%. So what you can do with this information is really useful. You can create campaigns about this information. You can make offers. You can create blog posts. You can share coupons. If you have a longer span, a longer period to analyze it, you can look for if it's a seasonal product. This is other good segment. Returning visitors. So you can use visit e-commerce status at the end of the visit is ordered, and then the number of visits greater than 1. And it can give you some interesting insights, because in this case, abandoned cart recovery rate is something that is not coming out of the box from Matomo. So you need to figure out the way to do it. And this is a good segment to get this kind of insights. You can as well get information about the customers if they are finding the products they are initially searching for, or if returning customers navigate your site differently from new users. This is the returning customers, and I'm using the abandoned carts filter together with returning customers, so we can see the abandoned carts rate, recovery rate. So it's interesting to see that 7 people came back and recovered the the products they was in the cart. So it's interesting. You see this quite granular depending on the implementation, of course. This is another interesting segment. We tend to think that bounce rates are out of the box from Matomo, but it's not at all like that. What in this with this kind of segment, we can get what pages are these visitors landing on. We can see what keywords are they using, or why you think those pages didn't answer their questions. This is another example from another customer. We found that this is the people land on this advertisement page, and the page views were overrepresented, as you can see, and the loading time was above the average of internet standards. And this is the kind of insights you can give to the developers and the advertisement team or the marketing team. And you can check the agreements with the advertiser if this was particularly coming from a newspaper. So it's probably interesting to have a discussion with them. Mobile visits. This is another interesting segment. You can use the device type here, and then I choose the feature phones, smartphones, phablets, and tablets. And we can see that there are totally different ways to navigate the sites if you are using a mobile phone, or if you are in front of a desktop, or if you are using a tablet. But this is a good example. We use it in combination with another segment, the desktop in this case. And you see different trends, different activity among them. And a way to select these parallels is just choosing these small doors in the menus. I will show you. I do have it. Give me a second, please. Yes. So when you choose here, and you have all visits, but you can check mobile users, for example, and you see the difference here. So you have both reports at the same time. Visits from your geographic region. This is another example. Here you can see this is available for super users. You can create the segment. At the moment you create the segment, you can choose to visible for me or for all the users. And in this case, you can process you can choose if segment will be available for only one site among all the other properties inside Matomo, or if you and when to process the data. I recommend to process the data with cron scheduling. In this case, I choose a United Kingdom and the city of London. So this is important for local entrepreneurs, this kind of information. We have here the 2 different campaigns, and you can see a high conversion in a low traffic. These campaigns is showing the visits from London with very high conversion rates. And this could suggest that these campaigns are highly targeted and resonate well with a specific audience. And from a consumer psychology standpoint, this may indicate a strong brand alignment or compelling value proposition that is effectively influencing consumer decision-making process. So this is something really interesting. And then we have Search visits. You just choose channel type is a search. It will give you what content is the most popular from search. Do people coming from search complete your marketing funnels in the same way that they are missing crucial information? And this is the segment in action. We found from this customer that many people came to the support pages and check the granularity of the information using this segment. We found that the product support and the name of the product and the subtypes of the product and where are the most of the URLs the paths visited by inside this product, troubleshooting, frequent outbound questions, and so on. And you see good reports regarding this, so it will answer if how well built is your site or your yeah your troubleshooting information and so on. So it will give you a lot of insights regarding your customers. To set up alerts, we don't grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. And to face the challenges, you need to get alerts. I try to group these alerts in different in these points. One of them is data collection monitoring alerts when tracking setup is down, just activated. Weekly or monthly alerts for significant changes in the website could be really interesting. Or alerts when zero goal conversions, indicating potential issues with the conversion tracking. Regarding KPI changes, it involves monitoring for significant shifts in key performance indicators like conversion rates or revenues. So agreement metrics, it typically includes not agreement, engagement metrics, such as session duration, pace per session, and bounce rates. And regarding e-commerce, you can get alert for zero orders, product detail views, add to cart actions. So it will give you indications about the e-commerce tracking. Segment targeted changes, monitoring changes with the specific data segments like geographic and or location or traffic source. And at the end, the privacy performance monitoring. Of course, this depends of the content management application you are using it. So it involves related information regarding the data privacy practices, which is really important for us. So, overcoming the challenges. Success is not final failure, is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. I'm gonna share some of my insights or some of my reflections when I face some problems with the during the implementation process, during the different moments with customers. So let me share them with you. This is really good. This is developed by Ronan. Hello, the URL builder. I love this new interface. You get a QR code regarding campaigns. So I warmly recommend it. I'm gonna share the URL, but it's quite easy. Yeah. A clear idea. Yeah, when you start during the implementation plan, the tracking plan, you need to have clear for you how you are going to show the data, what kind of reports you are going to create, what kind of graphs you are going to create. Now are coming new integrations. with other tools to get these reports better. And but yeah, think about it before you in advance. Um, then sessions with 30 minutes or more. Why I'm thinking about it? Because we detected in some buying process, uh, people leave the site, go to other sites and come back, or probably go and take a cup of coffee and then come back after 2 hours, and you see many sessions. It will give you some insights, but for some customers will be quite a noisy information on the reports. But yeah, this is a discussion you have to have. It's a strategic discussion. Because you can at the same time get the impulse buying and complex sales processes more granularly explained. Then the 80-20 or principle. I don't know if you are familiarized with the Pareto principle, but it says that from 100 people coming to your site, 20 will buy. But in fact, we detect that is not that relationship. It's 98 to 2%. So 2% of your customers are keeping your business alive. So keep that in mind. Another point important is that the eventification. It creates a lot of noise on reports. So you need to clean the data. What are those events that create quite a noise in the reports? For example, scrolling down, it creates a lot of different moments and a lot of noise. The pings to see if you're still alive, looking at the site, of course, and video tracking in the background. For example, when some videos are behind the site, back on the parallax on effects, and the videos on that's been recorded by the media analytics plugin in Matomo. So avoid to include them in your reports. Regarding funnels, well, funnels are really, really useful, but I think you need a kind of maturity in the knowledge of your customers. Why? Because many people who comes to your site and try to buy something, these people probably goes to the other sites and compare the prices in other with the competency. They come back to your site. Then they, you know, we are like that. So funnels is quite useful, but wait until you implement a funnel. And first learn to know your customers before you implement the funnels. Yeah. Segments. Well, regarding segments, is really important. Matomo gathers the information as it's coming, without any order, just in order to from coming, So every time you create a new segment, it start a new archiving process. What that means, an archiving process is that Matomo starts to organize the information in daily reports, weekly reports, monthly reports, and so on. So just imagine when you create a new segment and you have a long history, a big database, so it can take a lot of time. And if it's a heavy visited site, is even more. So keep this, and I will give you some recommendations to avoid this. But one of them is to keep the segments down, not more than 100 is not recommended. Make sure that all the URLs and searches are stored in lowercase because it's case sensitive. So you can, it's important. Remove your URL parameters if you can, and remove any ending slashes because you will get two different reports from these kind of segments, or you can filter out some important URLs because of this last slash. One more thing regarding segments is, and just to avoid the first point in this previous slide, test it before you save and apply. So you don't start this archiving process. So test it. If you see any data on it, just run it. Just go for it. Then this is another old issue, but it's well known, and I never be tired to repeat it. Every time you use contains, which is a really good keyword using segments, it starts a query that it doesn't go through the indexes, but it goes through a full table scan. So it takes a lot of time. So every time you turn on or you activate or you want to filter or segment the reports with it, it will go through a whole the table, and the segment will slow down Matomo. So avoid contains and use starts with instead. This is really useful. In fact, add annotations on changes. This is something I think is really good, because it will help you explain why this the drop downs and this as well. So these peaks and drop downs will be more explained, and we will help you. This was under the pandemics, and we saw when it was some kind of warnings. You see the activities, and in other cases the how the visitors fall down. But when to use it, when to do annotations, I recommend to every time you change the content on web design or the design, or when you create new blog posts, when you send newsletters, email marketing campaigns, when you launch an offline advertising, printed or radio or television, during important business milestones, such product launches, or key calendar events such as public holidays or some important events. So now, to decrease the loading time of the results, talking about the segments that could be really heavy to load, I recommend to step one, reduce the number of findings, of results to 10. Then step two, you can use the filters, and step three, the set up the period. So this is a quite good and useful trick. Then remember, you can download the app and have Matomo on the go. This is some useful links. The Matomo code base, Matomo blog, Matomo camp, issue queue, the change log, developers, some guides, and the demo site. So let me know if you have some questions. I will be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Jaime, for your great talk and very insightful talk. Perhaps I will start off with one question from the beginning of your talk. I saw on one of the presentation slides the lead quality score. How do you come up with this lead quality score? Is it do you have a recipe for that, or a framework, or do you decide by case what's a quality or high quality lead?
That's a great question. Yeah, there is a way. I was discussing that with a customer of us, where you can create. For example, you can set up values for visitors. When you launch a campaign and you have the referral, you can create a value for this visit, which is with 1 point, for example. Let me see if I can find a good slide about it. Uh, Give me a second. Uh, I do have probably here a good. No, give me a second. Yeah, this one. Why? Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, this one. Uh, this is quite an example. When you have the measuring points, the page depth, 1 to 3 pages visited, you can assign a value of 1. 4 to 6 pages visited, you can assign a value of 2, and more. Event tracking, if we click it in contact us, download resources, fill it out a form, you can set up assigned values in your variables and tags. So in this way, you can get the reports up on top of it, and get more insights regarding the quality of your visitors.
Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you for those insights. Also, I have a question. How do you deal with the decreasing quality in data? So you have been talking about the lifetime value of customers, the customer journeys, and in a time of always increasing the volume of ad blockers and that you oftentimes need consent for visitors. Are you also applying some kind of Pareto principle here, so that you say, for example, the users that gave you consent is representative somehow for the rest of the visitors that did not provide the consent for tracking?
Well, I don't know if I understood the question correctly, but could you please develop the question?
Sure.
I mm,
Sure. The essence of the question just was for customer lifetime value and customer journeys and all that. It is necessary, of course, to recognize a user cross session. For example, if
mm,
the user
mm,
returns back a day later, something like that, and nowadays we have a lot of ad blockers in place, and we have to ask the user for consent if we want to recognize them cross session. Um, do you, for the cohort that you're allowed to track with lifetime value and everything else, do you somehow project that the results of that cohort that you analyze on the cohort that you do not track?
Well, this is really interesting. Yeah, we have this kind of discussion, but we always come back to the GDPR legislation, and is we keep we try to keep the our back safe, if I can say so. Yeah, but we recommend the customers to try to be more compliant as possible. Some of the triggers have been triggered without anybody notice it, and we are always keeping an eye on this kind of setups, so we avoid to gather unconsent and yeah and what is the name, information that we are not able to collect. But no, we are not trying to get this kind of insights yet with the customers I've been working with.
Mhm.
Mm.
And a next question is, would you prioritize some dimensions or tracking plugins? You've been talking about A/B testing, heat map session recording, and all that, video tracking, media, form analytics, and all that. Would you prioritize some of those dimensions or plugins over others? So, for example, as you start a new project, to learn to know the audience, would you prioritize, for example, heat maps over A/B testing? What are your favorites when you start a new project?
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, every time we start a new project, I've been working with people migrating from Google to Matomo, and most of them wants to have some similar reports in Matomo. And in the first stage, always we try just to give the customer they want, the things they want. Then on top of it, we need to have discussions because they are implementing Hotjar and other tools that we offer out of the box with Matomo. So we warmly recommend them these kind of tools. In some cases, for example, forms I think is a really useful tool, because most of the time people are trying to gather a lot of unnecessary information and you just get drop offs. So to optimize forms, I this is one of my favorites ones, forms, just to see which fields are unnecessary to fill to be part of this process. Regarding heat maps, it's interesting to see the differences between the mobile visitors and the desktop visitors, because the customer journey varies incredibly. And as I'm saying, sometimes you use the mobile just to check the products, and then you come back home and buy the desktops. A/B test, I put them in some with some customers. It's quite a little bit tricky. You need to be really technical aware, how to implement a good A/B test, and on top of it, you need to understand statistics. I'm thinking about the degrees of acceptance, and the time you will get a good population to conclude, to get to take decisions. So in some low visited sites, we need to low down the number of visitors to gather the information we really need. But the question is if it's a good example of the entire population, you know. Hmm.
Oh, that's a good point actually. That I also try to stress always do not collect everything, and then in the end you don't know what data you have and how to interpret, but just come up with a plan and then exactly track this data, and yeah, just try to keep an overview over everything. Um, Perhaps in the end we are now running a bit out of time, so just in the end a quick and quite general question. Is there something that you usually do when starting a new project? For example, are there common goals you define in your project, or any custom dimensions that you start up with? Anything configuration wise that you start up, which is common between all the projects, or is it very individual?
It's quite individual, yeah, because I love to dive into the customers' needs and the target groups. This is my first step. What are the kind of visitors you gather you want to reach? What are your goals? What could be the key performance indicators regarding your site. Obviously, the first step is go through together with the customer through the privacy the configuration, so they will know what it implicates in terms of accuracy regarding the cities, location and these kind of things. So they most of them haven't doesn't know what are the implications to hide the three last numbers of the IP address, for example. So this is the kind of the discussions we always take on top of the list. Then we dive into to the customer needs, and then during the implementation, we I prefer to set up a data layer. I prefer to work with data layer, but if it's not available, just scrapping the web. Yeah. Mm.
Great, thank you. That was very insightful, Jamie. Thank you very much for being here today and sharing your experience with us.